Daniel here for Tabletop for One. Please join me at the table as I teach and play through Kinfire Delve, Vainglory's Grotto. And I thank you for joining me for this tutorial and solo playthrough of Kinfire Delve, Vainglory's Grotto. It's designed by Kevin Wilson and published by Incredible Dream. And Incredible Dream provided me with this review copy of the game to provide a tutorial solo playthrough video. Now, Kinfire Delve is a 1 to 2 player game that is co-op or solo, and it plays in 60 minutes. And it's part of the Kinfire universe. They recently fulfilled a Kickstarter called Kinfire Chronicles. And so this is a separate standalone game, and they're going to have multiple editions of this game. I think at least one other, maybe two other editions, and they're actually pleasantly priced at $20 a piece, which it blows my mind with the production quality that this is a $20 game. And in Kinfire Delve, you are a seeker. You're being sent into one of the wells of Adios, and you are trying to find the well's power. You have to descend into the well, passing all sorts of obstacles, challenges, combats, and other things until you find the well master at the bottom of the well, where you will have to go through a gauntlet of 4 challenges in order to defeat the well master. All right, so let's go into setup here. And so the first thing you do is you shuffle up the Vainglory cards. These are the well masters on the other side. You're going to shuffle these up, and you're going to place one somewhere in the center of the board here. Then you'll choose a seeker, and the seeker there are 2 different seekers. I have Asha of Brilbrook that I'm going to be using, and so you'll have Asha's card here, face up. We'll just place it right down here. And then you'll have the Lantern card, which is this card here. It shows you on the other side a Lantern's ability. It starts in the face down. And then you have her whole deck here. You're going to shuffle this up and set this right here. And then you'll draw 8 cards for the solo mode. 8 cards will go into your hand, so we'll set these right here. And then you have the exhaust cards and the gauntlet cards. These are going to be placed over here. The gauntlet cards don't have to be shuffled, but the exhaust cards do, so make sure you shuffle those first. And we just place these off to the side. They're not going to be used until certain points in the game. And then we have the well deck, and you're going to draw 4 of the cards face up around the Vainglory card here. And you'll place the well deck off to the side here, and then you'll take the top 3 cards of the well deck, and you'll place them in a discard pile. The discard pile is always face down. And then you have a whole bunch of progress tokens. We can just place those right here. And then you have the 4 dice for rolling, and then your health die here, and you'll set this at 10. All right, and so that's it for setup. So let's talk about how you win the game. You're going to win the game by going through this entire deck. At the point at which you need to draw from the well deck and you can't because it's empty, you will clear all the well cards, and then you'll put out all 4 of the gauntlet cards, and you're going to attempt to challenge the well master, which is behind this card. If you defeat the well master, then you win the game. However, if you lose too much health, all the way down to 0, or if you gain certain exhaustion cards that trigger an end game or trigger you losing the game, then that's how you lose the game. All right, so before we talk about the rules, I want to talk about what the cards have on them. The cards themselves have a variety of information. You'll see here that this one has a number 7 at the top. This is the difficulty of the card. See, when you attempt a challenge, you are trying to reach that number, progress towards that number of 7 in order to complete the challenge. If on your turn you do not progress to 7, you will fail the challenge. And here is the color of the particular card. So this one's the green card here with the little diamond symbol. And then you have the rewards here, and you have the penalty if you fail the challenge. And so this one here does not give you any reward, but it does 3 damage if you fail this challenge. And on top of that, you have to notice the ability at the bottom here. And this one says you must attempt this challenge. So while it's in play here in the well, you can't attempt any other challenge. You have to attempt the King's Ransom because that's a trap. And that's another thing you want to notice is that it says trap up here. Other cards like this, the maze says puzzle, the Great Stag says combat. And so those terms will come into play with various cards that you have in your deck that interact with those terms. And so that's the anatomy of a card here. And you'll have some other cards that interact with the other cards in the well, like the Great Stag here says. Any other challenge that deals damage to you deals 1 additional damage. So you have to keep that in mind. So in the case of the King's Ransom here, if I fail this challenge, taking 3 damage, I will take 1 additional damage because the Great Stag is in play. Some other ones like to team up with each other. So the maze here says, if you complete it, you complete all other copies of maze in play. But this also says if you fail it, you discard 1 additional card for each other copy of the maze in play. Because normally you discard 2 cards, but now you would discard additional cards if there were more mazes in play. Now your skill cards, on the other hand, look a little bit different, but still similar. You have a value here, and this is a value of progress that it contributes towards a skill test. You have the color here, which is the color that you have to match up when you play a skill card as playing a card, not committing it as a boost. And so that color has to match the challenge that you're doing. So if I was doing the King's Ransom, I could play the coup de grace to progress 3 towards that challenge and get this bonus if it applies. Because some of these cards have bonuses, like this one here says +3 if attempting a challenge with at least 2 progress on it. Now at the bottom here is what we call a boost, and I'll explain that when we talk about playing cards. Now there's some other cards in play that you have to understand. You have the Vainglory card here, and what it tells you is when you're attempting a challenge, it gains +1 difficulty for every other challenge in play with the same name. So you have to keep that in mind. So if the maze was in play with 2 other mazes, then it would gain +2 difficulty, making it a 9 instead of a 7 due to Vainglory's ability here. You also have your card, which is when you attempt a challenge with at least 1 progress on it, you may add 1 additional progress to the challenge. And then we have the lantern here, which I'll explain shortly, but this gets to be played as a skill card when you have it lit. It starts unlit when the game starts at the beginning here. So that's the anatomy of the cards. Now on your turn, you're going to be choosing to either attempt a challenge, these are challenges here, or use an event that is in the well. There aren't any here shown right now, but this is an event here. This is called Vainglory's Feast. And what an event does is there's no skill test, there's no challenge here, you just do whatever it says down at the bottom. And so for Vainglory's Feast here, it says you can regain 5 health or lose 2 exhaust cards, then attach this card and the top card of the well to Vainglory. And so when you do that, you'll take this card and the top card of the well and you'll attach it to Vainglory like so. And what happens is whatever Wellmaster is under here, it may have effects that deal with cards that are attached to it. But the vast majority of your actions are going to be revolving around attempting challenges. And so when you attempt a challenge, you're going to choose one of the 4 cards and then you're going to try and complete that challenge. So in this case here, I can only choose the King's Ransom because it says you must attempt this challenge. So if I chose the King's Ransom, I would try to get 7 progress on King's Ransom in order to complete it. And so when you choose to do a challenge, you're first going to play a card if you want. This is an optional step. If you choose not to play a card, you'll just go straight to rolling dice. But in this case here, I may want to, play a card against the King's Ransom. And so let's say I played Scorpion Strike. Now Scorpion Strike is worth 2 progress. So automatically you're going to get 2 progress towards this card. This card needs 7 progress to complete. And it says at the bottom here, after this action, draw 2 cards. So I'll get to add more cards to my hand after the action's done. And so when you play a card, you're going to play it out in front of you like so. And then what you can do is what is called a boost. And you can boost an action up to 2 times in the solo mode. And so what you do is you take 2 of your cards, up to 2 of your cards, that match the color of the challenge by the boost value at the bottom. And so this may be different than the actual color of the cards, so keep that in mind. Or some of them are multicolored, like this one here is green or red, so I could choose this one for green. The white ones here are any color, so I could choose this white one here, and that's maybe what I would do, is maybe I would choose this one here, and I'll place it underneath. Now I have +2 to that too, and so that's a 4. Now, I need 7 to complete this challenge. And so maybe I decide to, boost it one more time. Let's boost it with this card here, adding +1. Now I have 5 total. So once you're done boosting your card, if you choose to boost it at all, then you're going to roll the dice. So you take all 4 dice. You have to roll all 4 dice. You're going to roll them and see what you get. Now, any of the dice that roll that same color of the challenge you are attempting will count as 1 progress. Any white die that gets rolled will count towards that progress. This is the light die. It can also be the dark die, which doesn't count towards it. And so in this case here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And so with that, I would complete the King's Ransom and I would get the reward. And of course, the reward here is nothing on this particular card. But what would happen is I would take this card and I would set it in a face down pile here of completed challenges. Then I would refill any empty spaces around Vainglory with new well cards, and we move on to the next round. Now, let's say I didn't roll that. Let's say I did roll the dark symbol here and I only got the 1 green, and that would give me 6 progress towards King's Ransom. Well, then I would add progress tokens on here, like so. And so now all I need to do is get 1 more progress to complete King's Ransom. Now, since in this particular example, I didn't get enough progress to complete King's Ransom, I have failed the challenge. And what that means is I'm going to take that detriment of 3 damage, and this one here, an additional damage. So if I took that without any modifiers to it, that would drop me down to 6 health. That would not be very good. And so sometimes you want to actually look to see what you have, and some cards will give you actions that'll modify what you're doing. Now, in this case here, I don't have any cards that do that, but there was one card here that says, discard after failing a challenge to either light your lantern or lose an exhaust card. Well, that's kind of cool. That would have been nice to have, but it was used as a boost, so I didn't get to use that for its bonus. Because when you use a card for its boost, you don't get the action on the card, so keep that in mind. So in this case here, I would be taking way too much damage. I would be taking 4 damage, going down to 6, and these cards here would get discarded. And then we would start the next turn. And so at this point, I would decide, all right, am I going to try that challenge again? And I could, or I could do something else. But let's say I decided to try that challenge again. I only need 1 progress. Now, the interesting thing with Asha here is she says that when you attempt a challenge with at least 1 progress on it, you may add 1 additional progress to this challenge. And so I could add 1 right away before I even play a card or, but I wouldn't play a card at this point. I would just roll the dice anyways. I get 1 anyways. It's more than enough. That would put it at 8, which is more than enough to complete this challenge. And then I would win that challenge and we would move on. So that's how that works. Now, if at some point you decide that the cards you have in hand you don't like, or you have too few cards, or if you have completely run out of cards, you have to take what is called an exhaust step. And so when you take an exhaust step, let's say I had 1 card left in my hand, I'm like, I need new cards. I could choose at the start of my turn to exhaust, so I would discard anything left in my hand into the discard pile. I would then take an exhaust card. And what the exhaust card does is a variety of things, but they're all detrimental, so keep that in mind. Now this one here is called Consumed, and it says that if there are ever 3 copies of this card in play at once, you lose the game. So this is not a good one to get, so you just add it over here. Some of the other cards have ongoing effects that you'll have to apply, and maybe we'll see those as we play. But after you've taken your exhaust card, you're going to draw it back up to your starting hand size, and that would be 8 cards again, and then you would continue the game. Now again, there are ways to remove exhaust cards, and one of those ways is that survivor card here. Discarding this card when you fail a test will let you get rid of an exhaust card. So keep that in mind. When you get rid of an exhaust card, it'll get shuffled back into the exhaust deck. And there are other ways of interacting with, some of the cards here that are in play. So this one here, Scout the Area, says, before this action, you may discard a challenge you aren't attempting. So that can be very useful to get rid of a challenge that may be just not worth going after. We saw this Scorpion Strike, which gives extra cards, lets you draw a couple extra cards. The Coup de Grace, which gives +3 to the attempt when you're attempting a challenge that has at least 2 progress on it, so that's nice. Saw the Survive already. Sneak Attack here. Now this is a double colored card, so you can use it on green or blue, so that's really nice. But this one doesn't have an ability. However, when you use it as a boost, it's actually a +3 versus a combat card. and you can see the combat Great Stag here and the combat bubbles here. So that is a really good boost card to use, and it's a white color for boost as well, so I can use it against either of these, which is really nice. And then we have, let's see, right in the soft bits. Yeah, that's an interesting card, but it says before attempting a combat, delve 1. And what delve means is you shed a card from the top of the well deck into the discard deck. And so on some of these rewards here, you see delve 2, and delve 5. And so you're shedding cards into the discard pile. It helps you get through the well deck faster so you can attempt the well master. Now, some of the penalties will have actually what is called retreat. So it'll be an up arrow instead of a down arrow. And that's where you take the top cards of the discard pile and add them back on top of the well deck. And here's a couple more cards to show you. We have the cheat the system. It says before this action, you may move any amount of progress from any other cards to the challenge you are attempting. And this last one here, Asha's Dagger, is a really good card. It's used for red, and it says after this action, unless your hand is empty, you may return this card to your hand. So you can play it and return it. But again, that's only used against red cards. And so you'll see the rest of the cards as we play, and I'll go over them as they come up. All right, so as you go through all the challenges, you're going to be emptying out this well deck, and when you finally empty out this well deck, when you need to draw from the well deck and you cannot because it's empty, you'll remove any remaining well cards. You'll flip over the well master card and bring out the 4 gauntlets into play. And these 4 gauntlets provide a variety of challenges. And so these are going to be very difficult to challenge. You can see they're 9, 9, 10, and 13. And we'll go over this a little more in detail when we get to this point. But when these come in play, the Wellmaster is invulnerable. And so you're not able to challenge the Wellmaster until you deal with some of these cards. And so once you've dealt with a card, let's say we challenged the beauty card here, and we completed this challenge. When you complete the challenge or discard it, it tells you at the bottom here, you'll flip it over. And so when you flip it over, now it tells you that the Wellmaster is vulnerable to green actions. All right, that's great. This one here doesn't do anything, so he's not going to be vulnerable to anything. But this one here makes him vulnerable to blue actions, and this one makes him vulnerable to red actions. So you're able to attack him after you've dealt with some of these challenges. And so this will be a very interesting and challenging goal to go after. And I've only beat the Wellmaster once out of the 4 plays I've had so far. All right, and so that's the gist of the rules. There's a lot of things that will come up in play. A lot of interactions between the well cards will come up in play as we play. And so let's go ahead and get started. And so we do have to encounter the King's Ransom. So the King's Ransom is a green challenge of 7. And so I want to complete this challenge or else I'm going to take 3 damage. So let's see. I think I will use the coup de grace, and then I will use Scorpion Strike, which gives me a +2 to that. And I think that's all I'm going to do. I'm going to do 5, all right? So it's the 3 here plus the 2. Now the ability on coup de grace doesn't come into play because it's +3 if attempting a challenge with at least 2 progress on it. And there's no progress on this. So I get the 3 plus the 2 boost from the card that I used underneath. And we're going to roll the dice and see what we get. All right. So we got 2 greens and a white. That is 3 progress plus the 3 here and the 2 there. That is 8 total that would be going on this card. So at this point, we've completed this card. And so this one will go face down in a pile here. It doesn't go into the well discard pile, so keep that in mind because you don't want to add it there. And so now that this is done, we're going to discard my cards, and then we're going to refill the well. So we'll take the top card here and add it right here. Now we have 2 mazes in play. That's going to be interesting. All right, and so with the 2 mazes in play, I don't think I'm going to attempt them because I want to remind you that the Vainglory here says that when you attempt a challenge, it gains +1 difficulty for every other challenge with the same name in play. And since there's 2 mazes in play, if I attempt this one, it'll gain +1 from this one, making it an 8 instead of a 7. And so I think I will have difficulty attempting that challenge. So maybe I should attempt the Bubbles challenge instead. So this one here only requires 5. I will gain 5, or I will delve 5, which will be great if I win. But then it gets attached to Vainglory. And if I fail, it just gets discarded. So that's really nice. I think what I will use though is I'll use Scout the Area. Now, once again, Scout the Area here says that before this action, you may discard a challenge that you aren't attempting. So I'm attempting bubbles. I can discard one other challenge. And I think I will discard one of the mazes. So that goes in the discard pile here. All right, so now we do need to decide, if I'm going to boost this card or not. And I don't know that I want to spend any of my cards to boost. I could spend this one here, which would give it a +1. Maybe I should do that. Just give it a +1, see what I get. I just don't want to use up too many of my cards and get exhausted too early. All right, so now I have a 2 + 1, that's a 3, against a 5. So I need to roll 2 blues. Let's see what we get. And I don't get any blues. This is the dark symbol here, 2 greens and a red. So I fail this challenge. So my cards will get discarded. And then bubbles here, it says if failed, discard this challenge. So it just goes in the discard pile here. And now we need to refill the well, and that's 2 cards. And so we'll put one here and then one here. Now, one thing to watch out for when you're drawing cards is this one says, when another blue challenge enters play, every seeker discards a card. So you have to be aware that this one entered in first, then this one, but this wasn't a blue card, so it didn't affect that. But just be aware, there are a couple cards like that. Now, this Crown of Ashes card I actually haven't seen in the 4 games I've played. So this one says, if failed, attach this card to your Seeker. While attached, when you draw a new hand of cards, draw 2 fewer cards. I do not like that one. I want to discard that challenge whenever I get the chance. But I think what I will do is I'm going to attempt the Great Stag. The Great Stag should be fairly easy, and if I want to make it super easy, I could just use Asha's Dagger and then Sneak Attack. Maybe I should use these 2 here. Asha's Dagger and boost it with a +2. So I'll put this into play, and I want to remind you that Asha's Dagger comes back to my hand if my hand's not empty. So I'm going to get this back in my hand, which is nice. But now I have 4 against the 6. So all I need to do is roll 2 red. Let's see if we can do that. All right, there we go. We got 2 red and a white, so that's 3 extra progress. That's a total of 7 progress. I don't even need to put it on here, but I win this challenge. And so the reward I get for this challenge is to delve 2. Again, delving 2 is to take the top 2 cards of the deck and put it in the discard pile. So we're whittling down this deck here. And so this one gets added to my, my challenge completed pile here. These 2 get discarded, but Asha's Dagger goes back into my hand. And then we'll draw a new card for the well. And is a green card, the Cup of Fools. Now, the Cup of Fools is a really interesting one. It has a 6 delve for its reward, but its failure is different. It says, when attempting this challenge, if you roll a darkness, you fail. If you fail this, discard this challenge and reduce your health to 1. Yeah, so this one's not one you want to mess around with. You only want to risk that when you're low health anyways. And so I don't have a lot of cards. I do have this Sneak Attack when boosted, or when used as a boost, it'll count towards a combat, and there's only 1 combat in play. And then we have the Survivor here. Again, discard after failing challenge to light the lantern, or lose an exhaust card. I don't have any exhaust cards, but lighting the lantern is really useful. I think I'm gonna intentionally fail the orchestra combat here and just put some progress on it. So I'm gonna use Sneak Attack against the orchestra. And so it's only going to be a 2. There's no other ability on Sneak Attack. We'll roll the dice. And, I got 2 blues. So that's not too bad. So we're going to add 4 progress here. And then we check to see if I've completed this. Well, I haven't. I failed it. And so we look at the failure. I lose 1 health. So I'm going to drop down to 9 health now. I think that's an okay sacrifice because now I get to discard this card after failing a challenge to either light my lantern or lose an exhaust card. Well, we're going to light the lantern. Now, lantern is a very powerful card. See, the lantern has a 5 value when committed or played as a card, and then it says after this action you may discard up to 2 other challenges. So I think I'm going to end up using that card. I'm just not sure when. I almost should just use it right now against the orchestra, and maybe that's what I'll do. I'll use the lantern. So when you use lantern, you're going to put it out and play like that. You can boost it like any other card, but this boost here is only for green and red. I don't really need to boost it anyways because it's worth 5, and I only need 4 more to complete this challenge on the orchestra. We have to roll anyways. We got one more blue, but that's more than enough to complete the orchestra. Now I'm going to get a reward of delving 3. So 3 cards are going to go into the discard pile here. And then this card here will get added to my display here. I did forget to discard this card earlier. Sorry about that. And then on top of that, it says after this action, you may discard up to 2 other challenges. I'm going to discard both of these challenges here because I do not want to see them in play. Now, the lantern, you don't discard the lantern. You basically unlight it. So you flip it back over, you're going to place it back here until you light it again and are able to use it again. All right, and so now I'm down to 1 card, but we're going to draw 3 new cards for the well. So 1, got the Jeweled Spires, the Filigree Clock, and then the Deadly Rose. So these 2 here have some added bonuses when you complete them. The Jeweled Spires, it says if completed, you delve 3 and light your lantern. The Filigree Clock says that if completed, you may either light your lantern or lose 1 exhaust card. So I definitely want to consider using both of these if possible. Then we have the Deadly Rose here. It says, if failed, suffer 2 damage, an additional 2 damage for every other combat in play. And this is the only combat in play, so I probably don't have to worry about it right now. So I definitely want to focus on these 2, but all I have is Asha's Dagger. And so I think I will do the exhaust step. And what that means is I'm going to discard this, and then I will gain an exhaust card, and let's see. And we got one of those consumed cards. Again, when I have 3 of these in play, I lose the game. And then we draw up to the starting hand size, which is 8. So got 8 cards here, and we're ready to continue with my turn. And so I got some good cards here. We have Defeat Trap, which works well against traps, and I don't have any traps in play. Snake Eyes here lets me add progress to any challenge when I play this, so that's pretty cool. Sneaky Feet says if you fail a challenge, ignore its penalty when this is the card that you've played. So that's nice. This one says +2 if attempting a challenge with no progress on it. Very good. This one's +2 if attempting a puzzle. And let's see, this is a puzzle down here. So, well, I can't use it for that because that's red or blue and this is green. So, unfortunately not. The Odd Raven Charm is really nice because this one says discard when any seeker suffers damage to prevent up to 2 damage, then draw a card. So it's a free discard, draw a card kind of thing, but you prevent 2 damage. This last one here is a 3 for green or a +3 against an obstacle. And I think that's what I'm going to end up using. Let's see. I think maybe I should use these 2 here. So I'll use the Blinding Flash. It'll be a 2, a +3 versus an obstacle on the Jeweled Spires. And I don't know that I'm going to commit any more cards. I think I'm just going to take the damage. It's only 1 damage if I fail this card. And so we're ready to roll. There's no way I'm going to get 5. So I just want to get as many as we can. There we go. I got 2 extra. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we add 7 total progress to this card. And so this is near complete. That's really good. Now we do have to discard these 2 cards. And then I'll lose 1 health. So I'm down to 8. And then we'll move on to the next round. Now I'm going to attempt this again. And I think I'm going to skip playing a card because it only needs 3 more. But with Asha's passive ability, I automatically get to add 1 more progress to it during this attempt. And so all I need to do is roll a 2. And so we roll here. Let's see. Check that out. We got 3. So that's more than enough to complete this card. So this is done. Now I get to delve 3 and light my lantern. So that is really nice. We'll place this over here. Delving 3 cards. Once again, we're moving through the well just fine. My health's looking good. And we light the lantern. See, we're going to need that lantern lit for the Filigree Clock, I think. All right, and so we add 1 more card to the play area here. And then we have the Beloved Voice. It's a trap. And it says, if failed, remove 1 progress from each challenge in play, including this one. Well, that's no good. But I don't think I'm going to attempt that one yet, even though I have the Defeat Trap. Well, I can't use the Defeat Trap as a card because it's green or red and this is a blue. But I could use it as a boost because it's a white boost that does +3 against a trap. So I'll save that for later. But we're going to attempt the Filigree Clock. And now this one's cool. So we have Snake Eyes here, which green on green, which is good. On top of that, it says before this action, add 2 progress to any challenge. And so I'll get to add 2 progress on here. And I wish this would work, just so you know. This one says, when you attempt a challenge with at least one progress on it, you may add one additional progress to the challenge. It doesn't count in this case because the attempt of the challenge starts with you playing a card. And so this card came into play after the attempt started. And so this progress got added after the fact. So this doesn't get to add one more to it. That's okay. I'm going to play Snake Eyes against this one. We're going to roll, or should I boost? Should I boost it at all? I don't think I need to boost it right now. I think I'm going to leave it, save my boost for something else. We're just going to roll. I know I'm going to fail this. It's okay. And so we roll. Well, that was a +3. So we got 5 more to this. So we're going to make a total of 7 here. So I just need 5 more to defeat the filigree clock. So that's not too bad. I'll discard this. Now the penalty on filigree clock is to retreat. And it shows the opposite of a delve arrow, which means I have to add the top card of the discard pile back onto the well. All right, and so I'm going to attempt a filigree clock again. This time I'm going to use Sneaky Feet, which will give me 2 towards that attempt. Also, it says if I fail a challenge, ignore its penalties, so that'll be nice. And then I'm not going to boost it. Now, I do get Asha's ability, so I'm going to add 1 progress here. And then we'll roll for this. So really, all I need right now is to get 2 more. So 2 greens and then we're set, or a green and a white. Oh, check that out. That was green and a white. Perfect. So that's going to add a total of 4 between the 2 here and these 2 here. And now we have 12 on here and we win this challenge. So the nice thing about this challenge is I get to draw 3 cards. And we'll do that in just a moment. But also it says, if completed, you may either light your lantern or remove 1 exhaust card. So we're going to remove the exhaust card, and then it's going to get shuffled into this deck again. And now I get to draw 3 cards. But I only have 2 cards in my deck, so that means I'm going to shuffle my discard pile and then draw 1 new card. And so we'll add 1 here, and we'll discard this card, and this one goes into my victory pile here. And then we draw 1 new card for the well. And look, we have the Vainglory's Feast, which is really good because it lets me regain health or lose 2 exhaust cards. So we definitely want to use this later, which means we can attempt some other things that might do us damage. Also, I have my lantern lit, so, you know, there's a lot of things I can do right now. And I think I'm going to go after the Beloved Voice. This is going to reward 3 delve, or penalty of 1 retreat, and it says if failed, remove 1 progress from each challenge in play, including this one. Well, since I have no other progress in play, I can, not worry too much about that failure. And so it's a trap, which means I want to use a card that works for traps. And so this one here is Search for Traps. And after this action, add 1 progress to all traps. And on top of that, this one says it can be boosted to defeat a trap by 3. So this is going to make it a 5 against an 8. And do I want to add 1 more card? I don't think I do. I think I'm just going to go with that. And so we'll roll. We're looking for blue this time, hoping to get, 2, 3. We'll see how it goes. We got 2, and so that's not too bad. So at this point, it adds a total of 7. 2 from the dice, 2 from the card, and 3 from the boost. And then on top of that, after this action, add 1 progress to all traps. So adds 1 there, then we check, we've completed this one. And so it's done. And so this one's going to allow me to delve 3. So that'll be nice. Adding 3 more cards to the discard. Now we're getting close to about halfway through of the well deck. And then I'll have to discard these cards here. And then we'll add 1 more card to the well. All right, so now we have a couple of combats in play. I have to worry about the Deadly Rose because this one says if failed, suffer 2 additional damage for every combat in play. So with this one in play, this is going to be detrimental. So I want to either complete this one really well or avoid it. But this one here says when rolling for this challenge, the white die is worth +2 and the darkness is worth -1. That's not good. So I think what I will do is I will attempt the Deadly Rose, and I'm going to use my lantern this time as a 5. And then I'm going to use this card to boost it. It's a red or blue boost. So we're at 7 now against this 9. So I need to roll 2 reds in order to win this one. And let's see. Oh man, 2 reds and a white. So that is a total of 10. 5 plus 2 plus 3, and that's going to defeat this card here. So I will get to delve 5. That is awesome. That's going to be a lot of cards going to the discard pile, so that's really good. We'll discard both these cards, except the lantern goes into its unlit position again, and then we'll draw a new well card for the well here. Now the Three Fountains here is one of those cards that interacts with others of the same name. It says, if failed, suffer 1 wound for every other 3 fountains in play, but if completed, triple its reward for every other of the 3 fountains in play. So that is really nice, and I may want to leave it in play until at least one other of the 3 fountains are in play, but we'll see. In the meantime, I'm going to probably work on one of these two here. I'm not going to use Vainglory's Feast yet because it's not very beneficial to me yet. And so this one's not so detrimental. The maze is a little more detrimental, only that because it has me discarding cards, and I don't know that I want to do that. But I think what I will do is I will attempt the Masterpiece. I'll combat the Masterpiece, and then I will use Mule Kick, which gives me +2 to attempting a challenge with no progress on it. So this is a 4. I'm not going to boost it, so I know I'm going to fail it. We're just going to try and add progress to it. And we add 2 additional ones, so it's 6 total being added to the Masterpiece. And then I take a 1 damage penalty, bringing me down to 7 health. That's not too bad. But on top of that, I'm going to discard Survivor here. Discard after failing a challenge to either light my lantern or lose an exhaust card. Well, I'm going to light my lantern. That's going to be helpful. And then we'll discard this card here, and we're ready for the next turn. And so I'm going to go straight into attempting this Masterpiece challenge again with Asha's ability. That's going to add 1 progress to that card. And so now I only need 2 reds to win. Let's see what I get. Oh man, a white, a red, all the colors actually, but that's 2 to add on to there, and that's a total of 9, and we're good. We beat this one. And on top of that, the white one counted as a +2. The darkness is -1. We didn't have a darkness there. So that was really nice. We do get to delve 3. And we're going to add 1 more card here and go on to the next turn. Now the Guardian Beast here, this one says, when another red challenge enters into play, suffer 1 wound. So I don't want him in play, that long. We'll see if we can get rid of him early. But maybe I should I'll use the lantern against the Guardian Beast just to get rid of him. I do get a delve 4 if I win this. I don't think I'm going to win it. I can boost it with the Odd Raven's Charm, but I think I'll save this because I want to discard it for its ability. So we have a 5 rolling against an 8. All we need is 3. Let's see what we get. We only got 2. So that's going to put us at a 7 on the 8. So I failed the challenge. I'm going to take 3 wounds. We'll discard Odd Raven Charm, and I'll prevent 2 of those wounds and draw a card. So now I have 2 cards, but that still means I'm going to take 1 damage. So I'm down to 6 now, and we'll put my lantern back in its unlit position, and we're ready for the next turn. Now I can just attempt the Guardian's Beast again. Asha's ability is going to add 1 progress to that, and of course, what that means is that doesn't matter what the roll is, I automatically win. And so he gets discarded, or he gets added to my victory pile, and I will delve 4. And then we'll draw 1 more card for the well, and we have the Hall of Memory. The Hall of Memory is kind of cool because it says, if completed, return the action you played this turn to your hand. Just the action, not the boosts, but that's kind of nice. But I think I'm just going to attempt the 3 fountains here. We're going to use Coup de Grace. I can't use its ability because it has to have 2 progress on it to use it. So we're rolling with a 3 against 11. There's no way we're going to complete this. But we get an extra 2, so that's not too bad. We got 5 total progress on the fountains. I will lose 1 health due to the penalty. And then we'll discard this card. And we're ready for the next turn. Now the question is, do I want to use this card or discard it to exhaust? Actually, I think what I'll do is use this against the Hall of Memory. The penalty for Hall of Memory is to discard a card. I will have no cards in my hand to discard, so it's not much of a penalty. And this works against blue. The only thing is I can't roll. See, it says don't roll this turn. If you complete this challenge you're attempting with no excess progress, delve 3. So basically I'm going to play this. No roll. I'm going to add 3 progress to Hall of Memory. Suffer no penalty. this card gets discarded, and I move on to the next turn. But at this point, because I have no cards in my hand, I have to exhaust. So I'm going to have to take an exhaust card, adding it in. We have a consumed again, and then I have to draw a cards, and let's see what we get. Hopefully some good cards to deal with the Fountain or Hall of Memory. Not too bad. I do have this one that works against obstacles, which is kind of nice. And so, yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Sneak Attack, which has no abilities. It's just a 2. And then I will use this boost here, which does +3 versus obstacles. And that's what the Hall of Memory is, so that's 5. I still need 3 more. I don't know that I want to boost it again, so I will go ahead and attempt it as it is. Asha's ability will give it +1 progress. So really, we only need to roll 2 blue. Let's see what we get. Wow, nice. We got 3, so we definitely completed that. Again, 3 here, +2, that's 5, +3 towards an obstacle here, so that's 8, plus my 4 makes it a 12. Against an 11, that's a win, and we will delve 4 cards and put this card in my pile here. And I think before I do anything, I'm going to use Vainglory's Feast to heal back up to full health. So I'm going to heal all the way back up to 10, because I was at 5. That's what this gives you. Heal 5 or lose 2 exhaust cards. I only have 1 exhaust card, so I'm doing all right there. But now I attach this, and the top well card, it's going to be attached to the Vainglory card here. And then that will end the turn, so we'll have to draw a new card to the well. And there we go, we have the Prison Mirror. Now the Prison Mirror, there is no penalty for losing this one, but you can't actually put any progress on it. You have to complete it all at once. And so if you do, you'll get to draw 3 cards, which is kind of nice. But I think I'm going to attempt the 3 fountains here. We're going to use Snake Eyes. Now this one says, before this action, add 2 progress to any challenge. I think I will just add it straight to the fountains. So that puts it at a total of 7. And then I have 2, so I just need 2 more to win this one. And on top of that, with Asha's ability, I add 1. So that's really nice. So I really only need 1. Let's see what we get. Oh, I barely got 1. That was close. All right, so we're adding 3 progress, 2 plus the 1 here. So that puts us at a total of 11. Very good. And that's going to let us delve 3. Now we're getting very close to the end here. There's only 5 cards left. One of them's getting added to the well right now. So we're really close to the end here. And the Masterpiece is back out in play. I don't know if I want to attempt a Masterpiece. I do have some combat cards, but I'm just not sure it's worth it. But I don't have too many cards to do anything else. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to play Asha's Dagger against the Prison Mirror here. And then I'll boost it with this card, so that's a +2, that makes it a 4. And then I'll boost it with this card, it's a white, +1. So now we're at 5 against a 7. So I just need to roll 2 red in order to complete this challenge. If I fail it, I don't get to add any progress, and I'll have to discard my cards. So I really want to win this challenge. Let's see what I get. Oh man, that's a bummer. That's 1. So it's 6 against a 7. I fail the challenge. Now, I do get Asha's Dagger back into my hand, but these 2 cards get discarded. Ah, that's such a bummer. There's no penalty, it's just I lost 2 cards. So I'm definitely not in a good place here, and I think I'm going to have to exhaust. I don't think I have a choice. I could attempt against the Masterpiece here. Maybe I should do that. All right, let's try it. We'll use Asha's Dagger against Masterpiece, and it's only a 2, so it's not going to add much. Let's see how we roll. I only get 1, so we're putting 3 on there, but I'm going to take 1 damage, bringing me down to a 9. I don't know if I'm doing this the right way, because I think I'm going to lose here. Now, Asha's Dagger does go back into my hand, so I can attempt it again. And I'm going to attempt it again. Asha's ability comes into play, adding 1 progress. We'll roll again, see what we get. I got none. So I only add 2 from the card here, so that's 6 total. All right. So this goes back into my hand, and we're going to attempt again. I did forget, I got to take down 1 health here. All right, and so now we're rolling, and let's see, Asha's ability comes into play. So I will have enough. It doesn't matter what I roll at this point. I do get 1 there, but I have the 2 here to make it to 9. So I do win this time. And actually, the fire gives me a +2. I probably miscalculated that earlier because I forgot to take off a -1 on the darkness. Hopefully it all balanced out, but Masterpiece is done. So I'm going to get to delve 3. So that's going to be good. Asha's Dagger goes back in my hand. So we're moving 3 cards, and we're down to the last card here. Now, we don't go straight to the Wellmaster yet. We only do that when we need to draw a card and there's nothing in the well. All right, and so this time I'm going to play Scorpion Strike. So after this action, draw 2 cards. And then I'll boost it with these 2. So a +2 and a +1. Again, these are multicolored, but they're green. So this is going to be 5 total against this 9. So I definitely want to roll really well. Let's see what I get. I doubt I'm going to get 4. I don't think I've ever rolled a 4 before. No, I get 2. So that's going to put it at a 7 total of progress we're going to add on to here. And that's okay. We're going to discard all these cards. And I'm going to end up taking 2 damage. Well, that's unfortunate. But now we have to exhaust. And so I'll take an exhaust card. Ooh, it's another consumed. That's not good. And then we're going to draw up to our hand size. There's only 1 card here, so we'll shuffle these. And then I draw 7 more here to my hand. And we're ready to go. And I think what I'm going to do is just roll against this. I don't even think I'm going to play a card. I don't know that I want to. Yeah, I'm just going to roll against this. Asha's ability comes into play, adding 1 to progress. See what I get. And sure enough, I get more than enough progress to finish this card, which is going to cause me to delve 4. And since there are no cards in play, we go straight into the Wellmaster. All right, so when that happens, when you need to draw from the well and there's nothing in play, you discard the remaining well cards in play. You're going to flip over the Wellmaster here, and then you're going to add the 4 gauntlets around the Wellmaster. All right, so now we have to complete these gauntlets. Now this Wellmaster here is the Danse Macabre. And it says, if failed and darkness is rolled, turn a face down challenge face up again. So that's not good. And so this one requires 18 to advance against it, to complete it. That's going to take a lot of progress. Now these other cards that come into play, we have the Handmaids here that says if you would place 5 or more progress on Vainglory, so this card here, place it here instead. And this one here says if you discard a challenge, suffer 2 wounds. This one says if you failed on this one, discard a card at random. And this last one here says if you discard a challenge, suffer 1 wound. So both of these say if you discard a challenge, I'm going to be suffering wounds. So I have to be careful when I try and discard challenges. All of these say if you complete or discard this challenge, flip it over. And do note that all 4 of these are combats. So that's going to come into play with your cards that you use. And then, of course, the Wellmaster itself is not vulnerable. It's a black card. It's not vulnerable to any damage until you flip one of these over and it says now it's vulnerable to that particular color. So you have to work on these cards. So when you complete these cards, you'll flip it over. And then if this card is now vulnerable to that particular color, you'll be able to try and put progress towards it in attempting that challenge. And so I'm going to go after the spidery legs here. I'm going to play Scout the Area and boost it with Sneak Attack. That's +3 versus combat. I don't think I'm going to do anything else. And so this one here, it says before this action, you may discard a challenge that you aren't attempting. So I discard this one by flipping it over. But then this comes into play. It says if you discard a challenge, suffer 1 damage. So I'm going to go down to 5 damage, or 5 health now. But now I have 5 going against the spidery legs here. And so we're going to roll and we'll see what we get. And it looks like I get nothing. So I only add 5 to that. Now the fail on this particular one is take 1 damage. So we're down to 4. That's not good. But on top of that, I get to discard one of these cards, the Survivor card here, to light my lantern. So now that's in play. And I'm going to end up using that. But these 2 cards get discarded here, and we're ready to start the next turn. So I will use the lantern against the spidery legs. Asha's ability comes into play, adding 1 progress here. And then we're going to roll, not that I need to because I have more than enough progress. I get a total of 6 progress being added to this. And so I complete this challenge. So now that this is completed, this is going to flip over. And then on top of that, on my lantern, it says after this action, you may discard up to 2 other challenges. I will discard this one first, and then I will discard this one here. Now all challenges are complete. And of course, my lantern here gets flipped over. And so now the Wellmaster is vulnerable to all 3 types of colors. However, you can only use 1 color per attempt. So when you're choosing cards from your hand, you have to declare which color you're going to use. And so in this case here, I'm going to choose I think I'm going to choose red because I'm going to use this card as a red card. It's a green or a red, the defeat trap card. And then I will use this card as a boost, this red boost here. So the defeat trap card says +2 if attempting a trap, and this is a trap. And then I get +2 to my red. So I have a total of 6 here. And so since I'm using red as my color, red is what matters on this roll. So we'll see what I get to roll here. And oh my goodness, not only did I not roll any, but I rolled darkness. So now I do get to add progress here, but now I have to flip over a card. And I don't want to flip over any of these, I don't think. So I'm going to flip over this one here. What this means though is if I would place 5 or more progress on Vainglory, I have to place it here instead. And so I have to plan my, my attempts with low progress at a time. We'll discard these here and we'll choose what to do next. All right, and so my next turn, I'm just gonna play Precision. This one says don't roll this turn. I'm choosing blue, but it doesn't matter. Don't roll this turn. And all it's gonna end up doing is adding 3 progress to Dance Macabre. And so there we go. We've got 9 now. We're halfway there. It doesn't get added to the handmaids because it wasn't 5 or more. So this gets discarded and we're ready to go to the next turn. And I think what I will do is I will use Sneaky Feet. And so it's just 2 progress. I'm going to roll for it. Nice thing is it says if you fail a challenge, ignore its penalty. I do have to choose a color here. So I think I will choose blue. I seem to be rolling blue a lot. Let's see what I get. And of course, I rolled 2. I rolled the white and the blue. So that's a total of 4. And nice. So I get to add these here. And we got a total now of 13. So we are really close. We just need 5 more. And I did notice that I failed to add Asha's ability for the last 2 rolls. So we actually have 2 more progress. So right now we're at a total of 15. So I just need 3 more. And so this is where it gets tricky. You want to, try and figure out which way you want to go with this because I could just roll. I could just roll towards this. My next attempt is going to add 1 more progress from Asha's ability. So I just need to roll for 2. But if I roll a darkness, I'm going to have to flip over 1 more card. But here, let's give it a shot. I'm going to roll, let's say, for blue. And we add 1 from Asha's ability. And let's see what I get. Well, we get 1 right there. So there we go. That's really good. And then we're going to try again. And then, of course, we add 1 from Asha's ability. This, of course, makes it a total of 18, but we roll anyways. We do have to flip over 1 more card. It doesn't matter which color it was because now we have completed the Dance Macabre. And it is done, and we have won the game. And so there you go. That was the tutorial and solo playthrough of Kinfire Delve, Vainglory's Grotto by Kevin Wilson and published by Incredible Dream. Once again, this was a review copy provided to me by the publisher to make this tutorial solo playthrough video. You can currently pre-order this game off of their website, and like I said, it's only $20, which is pretty fantastic for foil cards, nice quality, good dice, the tokens are nice thickness, a lot of good things. Now, again, I have bias because I've received a review copy, but actually I'm really surprised by the production quality that you get for $20. So I'll talk about this more in my first impressions. But feel free to let me know in the comments below what you thought of this game or point out any mistakes I may have made. Please also like and subscribe to this channel if you like the content you see here, and I thank you very much for joining me on Tabletop for One. Have a great night.